I see. I understand you have a program, or you recently had a program where you were giving out free to resident smoke detectors?
Yeah, there's still some remaining. If you're
Okay.
actually a citizen of Warren, you can go to, I believe it's Station 2 and Station 6. I'm not exactly sure about 6, but I know it's Station 2. Show them your ID, you fill out a form, and you can get a smoke detector.
Very good, very
Yeah.
good. That's great that the fire department can offer that to residents of Warren.
It's a very good opportunity for people who really sometimes can't afford one, but
Sure.
they want one.
Right.
It's available.
Very good. Well, Joe, let's talk a little bit about the holiday season and some of your concerns as far as electrical problems. Maybe starting with in the interior of the home. You know, every year you hear about some sort of a tragedy involving lighting on a Christmas tree. Could you address some
Right.
of your concerns and some of the preventative measures that residents should take to make sure that they don't have a fire within the home?
I think the most important thing is just to use common sense. You shouldn't have too many lights in a row plugged into one extension cord and then plugged into one outlet. They recommend you having 3 strings at one time, or like around your tree, plugged into one outlet. And also, same thing with the outside. Have the same thing. You don't want to have like the Christmas Clark. I can't think of his name right now. National Lampoon. But anyway, to have like 6,000 lights outside,
Right.
it's only your electrical box is only good for so many amps, and it can't really take the extra load.
How about the tree itself? If you've got, there's a lot of artificial trees we have today, but
Right.
the real trees that you go out and you purchase a tree, and then you got to make sure it doesn't get too dry. Is that a problem if they don't have
Yeah.
something as far as watering that?
You have to keep it water, at least a gallon of water in your stand. You should have that filled up all the time.
A gallon. Okay.
Yeah, and if you cut the bottom off too, before you put it in your stand, that'll help it absorb some of the water and into the needles, which is the most flammable part.
Based on your experience here for the last 23 years, have you seen injuries, experienced injuries as far as people not taking care of the lighting properly?
Yeah, you don't see like electrocutions or stuff like that, but you do see fires from that, and it's not so much that people didn't put too many on the one circuit, but maybe they're old and they can't afford to buy a new light. They didn't look at the strands, and they might be broken, and it only takes, believe me, just a little flash of spark to ignite one of those trees.
So what you're saying is when they're preparing their Christmas tree this year, they should thoroughly inspect their lights that
Right.
they've had perhaps for 3 to 5 years, replace the old strands of lights.
Right. Usually on the lights, they'll have a UL listing on there, and that's the ones you want to watch out for. And if you have an artificial tree, the same thing. You want to have it fire resistant, and it'll say right on the tag on the tree, it'll say UL listed, fire resistant. So those are the
How
main-
long's that been out, the UL fire listing? Is that
on
fairly
the
new, or-
artificial trees? It's probably about 10 years.
10 years,
or so,
okay.
but pretty much all of them now have that rating. Like I say, if you got an old one that you had when you were growing up from your mother or something like that, I would go ahead and get a new one. Yeah.
Okay. Let's just talk a little bit about the importance of smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors.
Right.
I'm sure, let's start with maybe the carbon monoxide detectors first.
Yeah, the carbon monoxide is usually for like your furnace, your things that give off carbon monoxide. Your furnace, your hot water heater, if you have a gas stove, that type of thing. If it's old, sometimes carbon monoxide is not, you can't smell it.
Right.
So it'll keep building up in your house, and that's what these detectors are for. But these detectors also go bad after maybe 5 to 10 years, in that range. They build up, especially if you have those gas-fired appliances. They'll build up, and they'll cause them to malfunction. But those are most important to have in your upper where your sleeping quarters are, so you can be alerted right away if there is carbon monoxide.
So would one unit take care of the entire home, the upper part?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And where would you locate it in the?
Maybe in the hallway or in the kitchen part of the home.
Mm-hmm. How about if you have a lower level and it's finished off,
mean
and it's
a
a living
basement?
area, basement? Yeah, would you?
Yeah, you could no problem in putting one down there too. I mean, it's the more you have, the more safe you are, I believe.
What would those cost? The average?
I'm not exactly sure on that. I know probably between 25 and I'm sure you can get them up to $100. The ones with all the bells and whistles on it.
Okay. Does the fire department offer a program where if a resident wanted their carbon monoxide detector tested, can they bring it into the fire department and have it tested to make sure it's functional?
We don't have those kind of tools that can tell that stuff. Consumers Power, or whoever your gas provider is, those are the guys you need to call, and they'll come out. They have their instruments are more technically and up to date, and they can tell if your furnace is giving off CO, and that type thing.
Okay. How about now? Let's get into the smoke detectors, which is obviously a high priority item for to keep citizens safe.
Yeah, everybody should have one, obviously, but you need to at least have one in your hallway outside all your sleeping areas, and if you can afford it, to have one in each bedroom. And you should have one on every floor. So a basement, middle floor, you got an upper floor, you should have one on each floor. And you should change the batteries.
Now, how often do you change those batteries?
Well, usually they say every time you spring head or fall behind with the clocks, and that's where you should change them. Even if you don't think they're bad or not, that's what you should do.
They definitely save lives, Joe?
Oh yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of fires in the last 3 or 4 months, and the people who have had them and they were functional, either they helped them get out or they've warned somebody, a neighbor heard it, and the people didn't realize that they had a fire in their home or their apartment, and they've come knocking on the door and
They also can be hooked up to your alarm if you have a company that's providing a service to you.
Yeah.
Would that alarm service be able to provide direct to the consumer and to the police department's 911 center?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the. You mean the carbon monoxide detector? I'm not sure about that.
Maybe both, the smoke detector and the carbon monoxide.
I'm not sure about the carbon monoxide, but they do have like ADT, things like that. As soon as that smoke detector goes off, they'll call the 911 right away and then call back the person to make sure that they don't have a fire, do have a fire. It's a cooking fire, whatever's wrong there.
Talking about cooking fires, every year you hear about the grease fires,
right?
As a result of maybe too much grease when they're dunking that, or not sure how they exactly cook these turkeys now. They dip them into,
outside.
Give us some advice on that.
Really, not to have them. I mean, they're, especially people put them on their wood decks,
right.
Things of that nature, and if you mix the turkey, you don't have it dry enough. As soon as you put that turkey in there which has a lot of moisture, into that scalding oil, it's a recipe for disaster. It boils over, it'll start the oil on fire, and next thing you know, your house is on fire.
Very good. Well, Joe, we're just about running out of time.
Okay.
Yourself as the fire inspector, hopefully the fire marshal someday. We appreciate all the information that you provided to our residents here in Warren. Any closing advice, comments?
No, just use common sense, as I said before. And I know that people would like to put their fireplaces on, the heaters around their bedrooms, the portable heaters, the kerosene heaters they bring inside. I would just say use common sense. If you're leaving your house, turn everything off, turn your lights off, and you'll have a safe holiday.
Well, thank you. Thanks to Fire Inspector Joe Plotzke. We appreciate your advice today, and thank you for viewing Police Journal. And until next time, and have a safe holiday season.